All right, so let's talk about assignment number 1. So if you haven't already, pull up the module and you will see that there is an explanation about how the threads of the outcomes and the purpose of the class from the University of Cincinnati, Claremont are represented by assignment number 1. So in this unit, you will be developing an understanding of narrative writing, which is storytelling, how to write with audience, purpose, and context in mind. So your audience, obviously, for this is your instructor. So inside our, metaphorical 4 walls of our online asynchronous classroom. But really, your audience is anyone that you would want to share your piece of personal writing with. So this is something that's about you, which is important. That's why we're starting the year with a narrative essay focused on something from your life that you've experienced that you would tell the story of. But there would also be some deeper level behind it, which in the introduction and conclusion, you'd write about what you learned from it, looking back. So the first 2 people that you're going to look at are Andrew Stanton and Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, a very important historical figure, and Andrew Stanton, he has a TED Talk. You'll watch the video, and he is someone who writes for Hollywood. And they're going to Andrew Stanton is going to talk about his creative process. Then you're going to apply some of the things that he talks about to Frederick Douglass's, an excerpt from his autobiography. So the unifying 2 + 2 and the spine, those are all words, keywords, buzzwords from Andrew Stanton's TED Talk. So what I recommend is when you click on the TED Talk, you'll pull it up. You can also click underneath the video on read transcript, and it'll populate the transcript on the page for you if you're more of a text learner rather than auditory. So instead of looking, like rewatching to listen for things to answer questions 1 to 5, you can read through the transcript or use Control F on your keyboard to search for those buzzwords, those phrases like unifying 2 + 2, spine, so that you can easily find that information and the content, the contextual information around it. Outside of watching a TED Talk, reading a short excerpt, answering those 5 questions, you have to introduce yourself on the discussion board and respond to at least one of your classmates. That's the attempt, and you'll see that throughout the semester, to create some kind of engagement with students where you're interacting, because the goal is an asynchronous online class. You want it to mirror some of the healthy and beneficial things of a face-to-face classroom. So 25 points available this week. 20 for questions 1 to 5. Notice that the directions say respond to the 5 questions below. Your responses should be a minimum of 5 to 7 sentences in length per answer. And remember to use specific examples. So when you're answering number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you're not able to hit that 5 to 7 sentence limit or requirement, go back into the TED Talk, look for information for you to talk about, go back into the Frederick Douglass excerpt, look for information to talk about, to deepen the complexity and the sophistication of your response, and the use of specific details is one way to do that. And that's just prepping you, honestly, for the writing you're going to do, where the goal would be to be as specific as possible and create that depth and complexity. Then beyond that, you're just introducing yourself to the class and responding to another classmate. I even give you some response starters. I noticed you mentioned blank. I'm interested in that too. I also want to work on blank. Have you tried blank? ? Thanks for sharing. I really liked your point about that. Is purely just to kind of spur some thinking on your part so that you can answer it and move on with your life. So if you have any questions or concerns, shoot me an email. Otherwise, again, welcome to the class, and let's start off strong.